Hey, this is Josh from Fork Found Movie Reviews. I've been really struggling with what kind of content to make for our brand new YouTube channel. And it dawned on me the other day that the one thing that I know better than anything else in the world is me. So I figure I'll start off just kind of like a video bio, kind of give you an idea of where I'm coming from, my influences, and my favorite movies and stuff like that, and my version of how the three of us met. So if you're unfamiliar with Fork Found Movie Reviews, it's a podcast that my friends Matt and Adam and I put out weekly, where we review two movies at a time. Normally they have some sort of a theme, and they range all the way from very obscure to sort of mainstream, from the 70s all the way through the 2010s. Nothing brand new, but just we'd like to keep it a little bit off the beaten path. We all kind of like obscure movies, and so it fits really well. So going way back to my humble beginnings, I would say that my first and definitely biggest influence as far as film is concerned would be my mom. She was really into film, and she was into makeups and effects and stuff. And for that reason, she would allow me to watch, within reason, pretty much anything I wanted to see. As long as she could explain how the makeup was done, or just as long as I knew that it wasn't real, and she would try and explain to me how makeups worked and stuff. And if she could find like a making of documentary on HBO or something, that was even better. So, one of the first movies I remember watching after like Fox and the Hound and stuff would probably be Hellraiser. Very early on. Mom was just kind of into the obscure flicks too. A couple other movies I remember watching as a child were Rocky Horror Picture Show and Ralph Bakshi's Wizards. So just kind of different movies that, definitely not the same kind of movies that kids my age were watching. But I think it really opened my mind, and it definitely made me a more accepting person. And so that kind of shaped what I got into as far as movies. So like horror movies and musicals are kind of my bread and butter. One of my favorite movies of all time, which is pretty much a terrible movie, but I absolutely can't get enough of it, would be Repo the Genetic Opera. Absolutely love that movie. I could watch it every single day of my life. Pitch Perfect is another one, I'll admit it. And the gorier the better for my horror. Give me The Hostel. Give me Cabin Fever. I love those kind of movies. That's not to say I don't like my action movies and my dramas and my comedies. So going back to how I met my co-hosts, Matt, I met when I was about 10 years old, so roughly 1990, which would have made him about 8 years old when we grew up in the same neighborhood. And we just started hanging out one day. We were just playing together, and his mom was really into Rocky Horror Picture Show as well, so we both kind of had like the different kind of movie upbringing, but I think it really shaped how we are, and it definitely made us closer as friends. So 5 years later, I was a sophomore in high school, and even though I went to a really large school, my lunch hour I didn't have any friends, and so I was definitely looking for somebody. And Adam had just moved to Lincoln from San Diego, and so he was looking for a friend too, and we kind of met up, and we started hanging out at lunch, and we ended up hanging out pretty much constantly. We were pretty inseparable, and so add Matt to the equation. They became very close as well, and we were all just kind of best friends. We've had apartments together and stuff. We watched a zillion movies together, but as life does, we kind of grew apart, and we ended up having our own families and moving away. I live in Lincoln, Nebraska. Matt lives in Omaha, and Adam lives in Kansas City, so we don't really get to see each other at all anymore. Well, one day Adam just called me out of the blue and said, "Hey man, we're Matt and I started a podcast, and we're doing movie reviews. Would you like to be a guest on it sometime?" And I said, "Absolutely. Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun." And so they had me on to review Romeo and Juliet, the Leo DiCaprio version, and then the movie Nemesis. And as much as I hated them for making me sit through the movie Nemesis, I had a lot of fun talking about movies again with those guys, and they ended up bringing me back on the next week, and we finally just decided that that it would be best if I just came on full time. And so I became the third host after the third show. And it's a blast. I get to talk to my friends every week now, and movies brought us back together. So does my past qualify me to review movies, to be 1/3 of a movie review podcast? No, absolutely not. None of us know shit about how movies are made, what it takes to make them or write them or act in them. But, we just have a good time talking about movies. We don't always agree, and I think that's part of what makes it so fun for us. So that's pretty much all I got for right now. Leave a comment below if there's anything else you want to know about me. Otherwise, you can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. We're on Instagram. You drop us an email, forkfoundmoviereviews@gmail.com. Or subscribe if you want. There's plenty more content to come. So until then, may the forks be with you.